Today, let me take you to one of my favorite squares in Rome city center.
Okay, here we are in Piazza Navona, which is one of possibly the most famous and the most beautiful squares in Rome. You can see it has an elliptical shape. That's because it's been built on top of the Domitian Stadium, which you can actually visit. The entrance, it's behind the piazza, but on the other end in Via di Tor Sanguigna. If it's the first time that you're visiting Rome, you cannot skip this piazza. It's free to visit, and it's really one of the most famous landmarks in the city center. It has three monumental fountains. The one in the middle, it's by Bernini, and it has an Egyptian obelisk on top, and it's facing the Sant'Agnese in Agone church, designed by Francesco Borromini, architect.
Fontana del Moro is at the southern edge of Piazza Navona, facing the majestic Palazzo Pamphilj. So this is the first masterpiece you will find entering Piazza Navona from Corso Vittorio Emanuele and Campo dei Fiori. Just like Fontana del Nettuno on the northern edge, it was built in the 16th century and commissioned by Pope Gregory III on the occasion of the restoration of the Acqua Virgo aqueduct and its extension up to Campo Marzio. The original fountain was decorated with marble tritons, dragons, and masks carved by the 16th century artists such as Taddeo Landini, Egidio della Riviera, Simone Moschini, and Giacobbe Stilla Longhi, out of a design of Giacomo della Porta himself. Later, Pope Innocent X, from the Pamphilj family, put Gian Lorenzo Bernini in charge of restoring the fountain, and in 1655 they placed a pool similar to the original one with, in the middle, a statue by Gian Antonio Mari, following a design by the same Bernini. In 1874, the original 16th century decorative statues were all replaced by copies by well-known Italian artist Luigi Amici. As a curiosity, Donna Olimpia used to live right there in the palace in front of this fountain. She might be unknown to you, but she was arguably the most powerful woman in 17th century Rome. Olimpia Maidalchini from Viterbo, mostly known as Donna Olimpia or with the derogatory moniker of La Pimpaccia, lived right there. Married to Pamphilio Pamphili from the famous Roman noble family, she lived in the Pamphili Palace, which today is the seat of the Brazilian embassy. The Four Rivers Fountain is the main and central masterpiece of Piazza Navona. This work by artist Bernini was inaugurated in 1651 and represents the four big rivers known at the time: the Nile, the Gange, the Danube, and Rio de la Plata. Facing the fountain of the four rivers is Sant'Agnese in Agone church, designed by architect Borromini, one of the most beautiful churches in Rome. The church was built on the site of the martyrdom of Sant'Agnese that took place in 304. The oldest church dates back to the 8th century, but it was rebuilt and renovated several times, the last being in 1652 by the design of Borromini, commissioned by Pope Innocent X. His tomb is inside this very church, together with the graves of other members of the Pamphili family. The important relic preserved in the church is the head of the saint, martyr Sant'Agnese.
This is Sant'Agnese in Agone church. It's a Baroque church, and was designed by Francesco Borromini, one of the leading architects and artists of the time, of the Baroque in Rome. An eternal rival of Gian Lorenzo Bernini, whose fountain is standing right there in front of the church.
The rivalry between Bernini and Borromini was very well known in Rome, so rumors started spreading, creating legends that remained for a long time. One of these rumors has it that the statue of the Nile in the Four River Fountain it's, is covering its head to avoid seeing the many errors of the Church of Sant'Agnese in Agone, designed by Borromini right in front of Bernini's fountain. The Rio della Plata, the other statue in the fountain, seems to raise its hand to protect itself from a possible collapse of the church. However, since the fountain was completed before the church, this rumor is hardly true. The Fountain of Neptune is located at the northern end of the piazza, so it will be the first of the three fountains you will see if you arrive from Piazza di Tor Sanguigno. A masterpiece by Giacomo della Porta, Fontana del Nettuno was built in 1574 under the rule of Pope Gregory III. This was the first of the fountains commissioned to Giacomo della Porta in the aftermath of the restoration of the Acqua Virgo aqueduct and the building of one of its branches to reach Campo Marzio. In the 17th century, Gian Lorenzo Bernini built a large tub around the fountain and removed the steps and the fence that were all around it. This Neptune fountain was supposed to be decorated in the same way as its twin sister Fontana del Moro, with tritons and large masks, but at the time it wasn't made. Roman citizens had to wait until 1873, after the Italian unification, to see the large sculptural groups of the Neptune fighting against a giant squid by local sculptor Antonio della Bitta, and the Nereids, seahorses, dolphins, and cherubs by Sicilian-born Gregorio Zappalà. The first thing you might notice once you reach Piazza Navona is its oval shape. The reason behind this design is that it was built on top of the Domitian Stadium around 86 AD. Emperor Domitian decided to build this stadium to introduce Greek-style games to Rome, even though Romans didn't really like them, as they found them immoral and preferred the gory shows of the Colosseum. If you go behind Piazza Navona on Via di Tor Sanguigna, you can even access the Domitian Stadium, the ruins, and go underground and visit them. It's very well documented, and you will find plenty of panels explaining the different areas of the stadium. Such a timeless beauty hardly goes unnoticed, especially if you are sensitive to art and charm, like movie directors. In fact, it's not a secret that Piazza Navona has been used as a backdrop for many movies, both Italian and international. Some of the movies where you will recognize Piazza Navona are Roman Holiday, starring Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck, The Talented Mr. Ripley, starring Matt Damon and Jude Law, and La Romana by Luigi Zampa with an unforgettable Gina Lollobrigida. This red granite Egyptian obelisk, known as Obelisco Agonale, was brought to Rome by order of Domitian in the 1st century. Pulled out from the excavation sites of Aswan, without inscriptions, this 17-meter obelisk was decorated in Rome with original hieroglyphics and with the emperor represented between two deities, one of which was the Egyptian goddess Hathor. Originally, it was placed between the temples of Isis and Serapis, not far from the Pantheon in Campo Marzio. But some 2 centuries later, Maxentius moved it to the Appian Way, We owe its way back to Campo Marzio, precisely Piazza Navona, to crown the colossal fountains of the four rivers, to Pope Innocent X. To make sure nobody would ever forget, the dove on the pinnacle is in fact the symbol of the Pamphilj family. Even though today it's one of the most admired and photographed monuments in the city, this large sculptural group was now welcomed by the citizens at the time because to fund the expensive project they raised the taxes. In 1652, Pope Innocent X Pamphili and his sister-in-law, the powerful Donna Olympia, ruled that Piazza Navona would be filled with water in its center by closing the drainage of its three fountains. This way, the square became a big lake inside the city, where Romans would find relief and refreshment in summer. For around 2 centuries, this was the main draw for Roman citizens of all walks of life, every Saturday and Sunday of August until Pope Pius IX decided to put a halt to it in 1866. The piazza started being a busy hub in the 15th century, when the local market of fresh fruits and veggies, meat, and all types of goods was set up here. From being only the place for the daily market, Piazza Navona quickly became also a place for the city's celebrations and parades. How much time you need to visit Piazza Navona really depends on what you want to see. If you're just strolling around the heart of Renaissance Rome, you can stay anytime between 10 minutes and an hour. On the other hand, if you're also visiting the church of Sant'Agnese in Agone, the Domitian Stadium, to get a hint of why the square is elliptical and the streets all around, I think it can take up to 2 hours of your time. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. In the description below, you will also find a link to our guides to where to eat and where to stay around Piazza Navona.